There we go. Now we're live. Hello, hi, Not Ender, and everything is looking good over on YouTube and Twitch. There we go. Okay, at least that's going. Hello, welcome. Come on in. Come on in. So let's see. I'm live streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the moment because this is going to be a common enough ask that people come here for that I think it's worth recording once and then sending it to people. Huh? Was that a duck? uh, I love it. How's it going? How's it going, Matthew? It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well for me over here. Give me just a moment. I am editing that. Okay, there we go. So I am streaming on Twitch and YouTube, at least because this is going to be a common enough thing that people are going to come here for that it's worth recording once and being like, okay, here, just watch the video. Because it's something that people are going to be coming here for a lot. So might as well have something to give people when they come here. Yeah. Just to make sure everything is going well on my side, could you say something? Just anything. Okay, it's not picking you guys up. Why is it not picking you guys up? Let's see. It's not picking it up on OBS. I will hold on. Let me switch into my other skin real quick. And then let me be right back. There we go. It'll be a lot easier to do it off of here than the other way. So let me switch it back to Discord. All right, go ahead and try to say something now.
Hello.
Hello,
Perfect.
hello.
Now it's working. Awesome. So, and I think Dungeoneering and there was one other person up there. Tim? Hopefully they're not still up there. Let me see.
They might not have seen the chat.
I will ping him here. Dungeoneering. Cool. They'll make it here eventually, I hope. There we go. There's Tom.
Fingers crossed.
All right, and I think we're just missing Dungeoneer, which Dungeoneer, he's been here before, so I'll just send him a direct message and be like, we're over here, just in case he's lost. I didn't know how many people were going to be here today, because about 20 people joined in the last week for this, and I was like, oh shoot, okay, well I guess it's going to be a pretty big event.
You never know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it is midweek.
That too.
So,
That too, and it's midweek in the morning.
not in the morning for me.
Or afternoon, yeah. There he is. Okay, awesome. So now for those that are watching on, if there's anyone watching, because I didn't exactly advertise it too well for Twitch and YouTube. You guys are watching. Welcome and hello. Now for us that are here, so in Discord, so I'm recording this, well, I guess live streaming it, so that way whenever people do come to the archives, I think that they're going to be mostly looking for about the same thing, which is going to be this first step of like, how do I make more money? How do I do marketing and advertising? How do I do more beyond what I can do now? And so this is something that I'm going to put together, or that I am putting together currently, for people to watch later, because I feel like it's going to be a really, really, really common question, and it's worth at least having something to give people. Like, here, just watch this. This will help. But to kind of give a good introduction to who I am, so I'm Paladin. I've been DMing for 13 years. I've been doing this professionally for about 3 years now. And a lot of what I do Doesn't even have anything to do with professional DMing directly, sort of. So what I'm currently making is I'm making a platform for people to have more access to West Marches, and so I'm making a platform called Astalio over on another server. So that's what's taking up 99% of my time at the moment. And I'm actually going to be moving away from DMing altogether in about 2 months, which is kind of a really weird mindset because it's like I went into this DMing and I'm going to stop DMing altogether really soon. But as far as what I'm doing here in the archives, like so what I do is about every other week I help people get more along than where they are right now with wherever they're stuck on, and so it's kind of a place for professionals to go and get more one-to-one support. And it could be many different things. I think people come from many different avenues of where they're at. There's some people that never done this before that want to get into it. There's some people that are just barely getting into it but kind of getting stuck on something, or people that have been in this for quite a while and they're kind of more on an advanced path, kind of looking for something or other. And I think Matthew, I think that's kind of like where you kind of step in on that one from what I remember. And so,
Yep.
and I think it's all viable. I think that people, are going to be coming and going from this as they kind of make a couple of steps and then they get stuck again and then come back. Make another couple of steps and then come back. And then of course the networking part of it also helps a lot too. So, so that's basically what I'm doing here. As far as what I get out of this, I get absolutely nothing out of this. I do it because I had no one to help me whenever I was kind of getting up to where I am now. And I think that it would be nice if I could kind of give a little bit of what I learned to other people and making a space where people can also come together and help each other with some of these things, because it's not easy. Business is not something that comes natural to a lot of people. And I think that if there was somewhere that people can go to kind of get some help, that naturally people would find the help that they need and then could surpass whatever barriers they're coming upon. And so that's the whole reason that I made this, is because I know what it's like to start from where, well, for me, it was from nothing to being where they're at now, and then knowing how hard it can be to try to figure things out on your own, which is not a very nice way to kind of learn things. You kind of like trial and error, trying to trial and error getting through stuff, which is one way to do things, but not the most convenient nor the fastest way to get past some of the problems, and it kind of hurts a lot. So it doesn't have to be painful. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help people kind of get past those trials and tribulations, whatever they might be. And so what we can do, just because there's so few of us and we can afford it, we can go around in a circle and we kind of introduce ourselves and what it is that we're coming here for. And then I will go into the whole talk about what today's about. So today I'm going to be talking about basic business fundamentals, about what a business is, the mindset that goes around it, and talking a lot about value, and kind of relating that all to the Dungeon Master space professionally. So it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a very long talk, but I think it'll be long enough, maybe about like 2 or 3 hours. So we'll go ahead and go in a circle and introduce ourselves. Dungeoneer, since you've been here for so long now, do you wanna go first? If you're able to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I am. I've been pro DMing for about a year now, I think. Yeah, I kind of had been doing it a little bit part time, and then kind of started going full time, and over at Start Playing. And I am kind of looking to take my GMing kind of to the next steps and platforms. So I'm currently like all of that swirling around to see what it takes to get there, both in terms of the efficiency and all the things I can do on my end, but also like marketing and all the bits. Because as Bal mentioned, it just doesn't come very naturally to me. Telling stories and being goofy, man, that's easy. But that alone just isn't enough. So anyway, that's me.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, telling stories and being goofy all day, 10 out of 10.
Right.
Matthew, do you want to go next?
Sure. I've been GMing for 32 years,
Wow.
if I remember my age right. And I've been doing paid GMing for about 6 months longer than start playing, so about 5 years.
Very nice.
I not only run my paid GMing, I run a collab. I'm working on getting writing things up. I'm working on developing a newsletter to spread our reach. The collab is 8 people strong now of paid GMs, and we're all focused on non D&D, except for Delvin. We gotta have one guy who does D&D to send people who won't leave the game.
Okay, sounds very good. And then let's see, Nutender.
Hi, name's Ender, obviously. I have just started with paid GMing. I've GM'd for about 3 to 4 years. Before that, I have barely gathered a couple of players over the last 2 months, and I'm just looking to continue moving forward.
Okay, awesome. And Tom, if you also would like to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, sure. I started playing D&D like 5, 6 years ago, and I started DMing 2 to 3 years, and professional DMing in about 1 year, I think, or 1 year and a half. And I started with a D&D club, like a TTRPG club in my zone, and they have me as a professional DM. And apart from them, I have a few players that go with me a few hours extra in the week. And I wanted to expand a little bit more outside of the local area.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So it looks like we're all here for of course slightly different reasons, but overall to learn and get better, which is pretty good. Now, now what I'm going to start off with is a little bit of the business fundamentals, and so if at any point like you have a question, feel free to stop me because I do tend to like run and just keep talking and talking. I'll be mindful not to talk your ears off. But starting from the beginning, I'll start out with an open question, and I think that Dungeoneer already knows the answer because I think I've asked this a few times already. What is a business? Like, what is the function of what you think a business is for? Like, what do they do? You have to take a guess.
Some sort of organized activity that earns you money, essentially.
Okay, yeah, that is true. Yeah. That is partly, yeah. That's they do earn money. They are organized. What else? I could sit here all day. And anyone else want to give a stab? Are you out? Yeah, Dungeoneer. I think that you're. I can't hear you. At least you're muted. At least.
Oh, I meant since I've heard this question before. I think am I?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess I'll give everyone else a chance. But I think you've heard me ask
Yeah.
this before, like several times.
I think I have. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Matt and Tom, what do you guys think? Give a guess. It's not a trick question. It's a very straightforward one.
Oh, a business is one method to make money or to stand out in an economy. You can also use a business if you're less concerned about making profits as an organization to further an agenda.
Yes, that is true.
Also depends what field we're talking, because the word business can be used in multiple different ways, but I don't want to get too pedantic at this point.
Yeah, I understand because you went to school for business, right? So
I did 2 years of university. I didn't get my last year due to real life stuff coming up, but
I
yeah.
gotcha. All right, Dungeoneer. Let's see if you remember. You remember what I say like is what I typically say.
As I recall, and I thought it was kind of a nice way to view it. It is like a service or something that you provide to somebody that gives them value in their lives, and by giving that, hopefully you can find a fair exchange to help yourself live. But essentially, you're giving and enhancing people's life and creating a product or a service that helps people.
Yep. So it's what a business does that it takes a problem that exists in society it fixes that problem in some way, and then the depending on how big the problem is, there is an exchange of currency in return. So that's what businesses kind of, well, at least the purpose of a business is that it fixes a problem in some way. Either it makes something faster, or it does something better, or it alleviates some sort of pain that a person has, and in return there is currency that is made for it. And so that's the main aspect of kind of like what a business is the fixing of that problem, and the better they can fix it, the more money they can get. And so I kind of lead with that because it took me a while to kind of come around to understand what exactly that means. Because in one way we have a very scarcity minded, a very big scarcity mindset in society, where people are lacking something themselves, and so they require it and they go out to seek it. And so a lot of what I will see is that I want to make $17,000, right? Well, okay, that's great, but where's the other person in that equation? It's like it's one thing if a person is thinking about themselves and their needs, but a business by just natural default does not necessarily think about itself. It's thinking about the other person, fixing about problems for someone else, not about making something for itself necessarily. Money does come with it, but the money that is kind of brought in is more of a tool in order to further enhance and make that reality of what they're trying to fix a lot better, as opposed to an end goal of what it's trying to do. Although some people do approach it that way. But the businesses that tend to work best are the ones that, and especially in today's economy with having like smarter customers, the businesses that are very self-centric, that are only thinking about a profit, are the ones that aren't going to make it very far, because it's a lot better seen. Because the more money a business makes, the more you can see the cracks and the problems and the ideals of what people stand for overall. And so you can see like, okay, is this company only thinking about itself, or is this company thinking about me, the person that it's trying to serve and like make better? If it's only thinking about itself, it's just going to run itself into the ground. And so that's the main principle, is that it's a very counterintuitive mindset that people want to get into business to make more money, but that's not what the purpose of a business is. It's not to make more money, it's to fix something or to make something better. And it's a very conflicting ideal. And so that's like the first thing, is that it takes a lot. Like, yes, I think that going into it, problem number one is like, I just don't want to be poor, right? Like I don't want to be where I'm at. And I think that's an okay place to start. But eventually at some point, the questions of like, what is it that I'm doing this for? Why am I doing this? What is the purpose of what I'm doing? Like, what do I stand for? Those kind of things are the things that have to come up naturally in order to kind of move beyond just the beginning steps. And that's the part where a lot of people tend to like trail off, is that it's very easy to think about what I want. Me, right? Like, it's very easy for me to think about myself. But what about to think about someone else? Like, what am I going to give them to make their life better and the things that I'm trying to do? And a lot of people can't do that. And those are the people that end up failing. And nothing, to really do there. It's just, if one can't think beyond themselves, then they're not really going to get too far, because it's not about them, right? It's about who they're serving and what they're giving to the other person. What do you guys think?
100% agree. That's a good way to describe the purpose of a business.
Yeah, and I think that SPG, that, like, if you look at SPG as an example, does anyone here follow the minutes, like watch the minute videos where they're talking about the updates? They talk about it several times, where they talk about why they created SPG and what SPG exists for. And I don't think I've ever heard Devin once say, I want to make $100,000. Which would be very odd, right, to hear someone say. He does this because he only wants to make money. That's not the reason why SPG exists. SPG exists because they want to connect more people together. At least they want to see more games in the world. And so they do this, not for themselves, but for us as professional GMs, but also for the players as well that want to play TTRPGs, to connect them together, right? And so in that aspect, like, they do everything they can in order to kind of see that vision more properly. Like they do these like extra bits of work, because they're not thinking about themselves, they're thinking about the people they're serving. in business. So if it was the other way around, if he was only thinking about making money and only thinking about himself, then their approach would be entirely different than what it is right now with SPG. Right? Like if it was an entirely selfish goal rather than one that's selfless. What do you guys think? Like Engineer, Ender, Tom? You kind of see like where I'm coming from.
Oh, I mean, personally, I think absolutely in terms of just so the human aspect of like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd imagine you're in this business because you like to deliver joy, like the mirror neurons in your brain take joy from giving to others. And so like that piece makes sense in terms of just like, because it loses its steam when you're in it for yourself and you're just trying to like get from people. That's a draining from that humanist perspective. But I think the other one is, to your point as well, if somebody's out there trying to make a buck off you, then you feel that, you get the sense of that. And what you want more of is a fair exchange where they fill a need, solve a problem, do something for you, and then you kind of give back. And so I think thinking of it in that way helps you step out of it puts you in a, I don't know what you call it, a gratitude mindset in a way that creates for good partnerships and businesses, that partnerships and relationships that can move you forward over time, opposed to exchanges that can maybe make you a little money up front, but
Yeah.
Can be emotionally draining and cost you in the long run.
Yeah, that's very true. Ender, Tom, what do you guys think?
The most successful businesses, like I think the one business that I think that kind of follows this philosophy the most that I can remember is Valve, the developers of Steam,
Valve, yeah.
Valve, yeah.
who have
Yes.
developed pretty much the most stable and just overall best platform for their demographic, the most convenient and user friendly, and are right now kind of rolling in profits because they're not hoping for the people before them to pay because they have to pay, but rather they offer a proper service and they get a lot of money off of it. I heard like a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but like every employee of Valve is a millionaire,
Huh.
net worth wise. It's like so successful because of their approach is humane and just overall good.
Tom, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that the explanation were very clear, and I thought like that's so.
And so I lead with this first because it's like you're like I'm not gonna say any names exactly here, but I'm gonna go into the introduce yourself channel. I'll just start reading off. Like, let's see. Like, I see things such as people wanting to come here because they're wanting to make more money. They've been doing this for a little bit, and they know that their skills are really good, and they want to be able to make more income than where they are right now. And so, and I'm not going to call out names, but it's like you see it often enough that it's like, okay, what is their mindset in all of this? Like, it's one thing to say like I want to make more money versus I want to be able to give more people a good experience. Very different, right? Like one versus the other. And so you can tell a lot about what it is that people are like looking for, just based even on that first part of like why grow, like why look to expand their skills. What are they gonna do with those skills? And so, and it makes a very clear picture that like it's more of a selfish gain rather than one where they're thinking about, well, I feel like I want to make more because I want to do more than where I am right now in order to help more people. And so that mindset starts with, I believe it starts with the individual and the way that they see other people and the way that they see themselves in all of this. and it's a very hard one. I mean, it's almost impossible to like separate because I mean, especially in the pro GM space, like pro GMing is a luxury service. Like it's not a need, it's not a necessity, but it's one where it's entirely just for luxury entertainment to give to others. And so that means that for the people that are like truly in this to like provide something to the other people, those people are going to be a lot more successful than the ones that are only like, trying to make more income for themselves. Um, and while yes, like there's something to be said in like needing and getting money to survive, it is possible to look for those things, but then still think about the other person in the process. Otherwise, it's just kind of like not slandering, but it's like slashing at the relationship of like being able to provide a service to someone because it's just entirely like me needing something and me needing it right now. And then in the process, I'm probably not going to be thinking about the other person as much or at all in all of that, which can create a big problem. And so those are the mistakes that I see often in the pro GM space, and it's one that is caused because SPG made it really easy to make for people that are professional or the people that are good DMs to get in this space and providing a chance for people to get into a business that are in a lower socioeconomic status, which is nothing wrong with it. It's actually really good. But the problem is that what comes with people coming in that lower socioeconomic status. I mean, if we're talking about people that are making it paycheck to paycheck, what is their mindset going to be versus someone that is like in a better spot in life where they're not needing to go paycheck to paycheck? It's going to be very different in the way they view life.
Help me
and
survive.
Yep. And so it ends up being it creates a problem where you kind of have like, okay, you're throwing people into a business space that probably shouldn't be business owners, right? Versus someone that's doing it just to kind of get a little bit of extra money on the side. And so whenever trying to grow from here, whenever trying to do this a little bit more seriously, there is a little bit of catching up to do between the gap of like, okay, you are in this space right now. This is who you are, and this is who you have to be in order to give better service to someone. And that's the part that it's hard to teach because it's a lot of like, well, I know for me, like it took like a year and a half of like having to combat my own flaws and my own problems, where it kind of felt like I was going at war with myself every day. It kind of sucked. It sucked a lot. Having to really look at myself and be like, is this the kind of person that gives good value and good care to like the people they're trying to serve, or no? And if not, then what do I gotta be, or what do I gotta do to become that? And that's a hard line to kind of walk because it does require a lot of self insight and also like a want to do that. I mean, it's very easy to want more for yourself, but it's harder to go through the hard work of becoming someone that can give those things and actually mean it. You know what I mean? And that's the big difference between here and then also starting to get to a higher point in business as well. If you guys see it, or at least if you guys see it differently, or if you guys have a different perspective, because I'm only one person, so I could also be wrong.
I think there is a little bit of overgeneralization. Not a lot. You're still correct.
Yeah.
But I think there is a part of the people that come in with the mindset of I want to make more money. Not because they are in a survival scarcity mindset or something similar, but simply because money is a really convenient metric for success. Because while they could want to provide like more service, help people out, it's hard to put the results in that into something that is easily understandable by our monkey brains. Numbers are convenient. Numbers are excellent for that.
Yep. There's different ways to measure success, I guess. Like one way to measure it is profit, but another way to measure it is lifetime value. Like how long a person sticks with a company. Like do they stick with you for a month, 6 months, 12 months? It's called LTV, lifetime value, is another measurement to consider success. And yeah, and Matthew, Blue Sea versus Red Sea. I'm glad that I'm very much Blue Sea. Red Sea is a very different mindset altogether. You're right.
It is, but
Yeah.
there's definitely people doing this who have that mindset, and it's it's always an interesting meetup.
Yeah. Whenever you see both sides kind of going at it, it's like, well, it just comes down to philosophy, really. Also, I think with what you're
Yeah.
kind of doing for business too. I think there's some aspects where a Red Sea mindset makes a lot of sense. And there's others where maybe not so much. Maybe.
I guess a if a sphere is big enough, Red Sea can do well, but I don't think there's enough business for paid GMs in general to not burn yourself completely with not only your clientele but other paid GMs.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I think in this aspect, like the Blue Sea, it just makes a lot more sense. Well, I guess like to explain it a little bit, can you explain a little bit of the difference between one versus the other? I wouldn't be able to do it 100%. I just know it vaguely.
Yeah.
What one is what versus the other.
Let's see if I could.
Good, thanks. I was like,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask that same question. Like, what is this Red Sea Blue Sea
Yeah,
thing?
I know
I
vaguely
Googled
about it,
it.
but not enough
Okay.
to actually say what it is entirely.
Another way to look at it is abundance versus cutthroat.
Yep.
You, from one point of view, Red Sea assumes that there is so much to be made. There's only so much value in a certain area, so you have to hurt others to make sure you get the most. Where Blue Sea is the opposite approach, where you assume that it is possible to continually grow a business, work with people to expand their skills, and improve the value you can create. So one approach is to get as many clients any way possible, whether you satisfy their needs or not. Blue Sea is to work with the clients you have and rely on flag bearers to spread the word of how good you are and assume that that market will grow from that end. Both are, I want to say both are valid, but I think one is bullshit, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just me being a crazy,
Yeah, I agree.
that's
Yeah.
my own craziness, thinking mankind can do better, even though we don't.
I got a good example
But in
of a
a
red.
small,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say in a small thing like Red Sea tactic would be joining someone's game, filling their seats and bombing it, leaving it at the last minute. It could be joining a server and trying to poach clients without asking the person first. Where at the other end, some of the downsides, if you go Blue Sea, would be you have a Discord server and allow anyone to advertise there. You're open about it. That could also be like, it's something I do, but it could be a negative thing. I get flack from some people who think I'm crazy, but it's just a completely different mindset. Most people fall somewhere in the middle. Like no one's perfect, but I think I've explained those two well enough for this conversation.
I think so, and like, and you're right. Like, I also allow anybody to advertise. Where I'm like, you know what? If I personally think that I want my players to be in the best game that fits them, and if they see Dungeoneer runs a game that works better for them, like, cool, yeah, go. Like, I'll support them. Like, go, like, go to Dungeoneer. It's fine. I can always find more players somewhere else that maybe want to be with me. So it's like, but people that are Red Sea minded, they're like, no, all mine. You can't take my people, and they're very jealous. I've encountered some of those people to the point that they will like outright ban you from their server if you even like talk about games that you run, which is crazy. To me, it's just crazy mindset, but that's just how it is. Another form of it is like I have seen this roofing company here where I live. I live in Dallas Fort Worth, Texas, and they will continuously talk bad about their competition in order to elevate themselves above them. And I've also heard like rumors about sabotage as well. So it's kind of like stuff like that, where like they are trying to do what they can no matter what to get higher in their field. That's kind of more the Red Sea, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, poaching is a real thing. Poaching players, especially in the West March space. West Marches do not like people advertising because it's like competing West Marches. I mean, it's so easy to just keep pulling from each other. So that's something I run into a lot whenever I look over in the West March space, which is where I'm at. But yeah, that kind of that's a really good explanation. So thank you, Matthew. So with that, there comes a point. Well, like, let's say that you're not necessarily in that scarcity mindset. Like you legitimately kind of get stuck, right? Like at some point, you're gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Like, how do I get more from here? And the one thing that SPG does well is that it does get players for you, but it removes the skill of learning how to market and advertise for yourself, which is the most essential skill that you kind of need in order to kind of not be so dependent on SPG. So it's kind of like I explain it in this way, and I don't mean it as malicious as it might sound. But like two examples of things that I see with SPG, I call them like the gold and silver handcuffs. Like the gold handcuff has to do mostly with Strahd, the people that run Strahd, because it's such a there's so much need, or there's a lot of want for people to run Strahd games. The only thing they get stuck with is they can only run Strahd, and they can't really run anything else. And so they have all of these games that are nothing but Curse of Strahd. And whenever they try to move out of that, they lose all of that support because none of their player base wants to do anything else but play Strahd. So they kind of get stuck. They get stuck in only playing that module. And the second thing with the silver handcuffs is that because SPG does a good job with advertising for people, it means that you're stuck. You can't learn what you need in order to separate away, because the moment you separate away, what's going to happen? You lose your player base, or at least you can get away with some of the player base, but then you're kind of going against their TOS, which doesn't allow for you to separate away. So you're stuck with the company, and because you're stuck with the company, you can't really move and grow out. So both cases are pretty, actually I would say it's okay as long as the person is willing to give up growing out of that space. Only whenever people want to grow out of being underneath the umbrella of SPG does it become a problem. So you're kind of stuck with that. Yeah, pushes plans under the table. And so in seeing that, I know that I see people that they're like, I don't know how to advertise, I don't know how to market, and I see SPG starting to do some of those talks where they're like helping people with social media, but it doesn't help in the way that I think they're hoping to help, because there's a lot of fundamentals you got to learn even before getting to that point of marketing and advertising yourself. Because marketing and advertising is showing a extension of what it is that you do. But if what it is that you do is not product market fit, which I'll explain that here in a minute, then there's no point in marketing and advertising yourself. It's like you're getting a pile of poop, and you're showing people like, look at my poop. And people look at it, they're like, I don't want to be a part of that poop. And then they just ignore you. They avoid you. So they can't help too much, or they lose their income. Yep. So there's a point to be made where SPG helping directly with marketing and advertising is, in a way, yes, it's nice, but in doing so, they would slash their own profits and no longer have a business. So there is a self-serving, a little bit of a self-protective means there that they really can't help out entirely with this, because then they lose their player base, or they lose their professional GM base to some degree. And that's kind of the part where, like, yeah, I think it's good to be giving and self-serving, but to what point? I mean, if it's going to get to the point that I'm cutting and bleeding myself dry, then what am I really doing? I'm just kind of ruining myself at that point. So there's a kind of a bit of an understanding that it can only really go so far in that case. And it's a hard line to walk, because I see SPG trying to help, but I also know that in them helping, they're kind of hurting themselves to some degree. But I don't know, maybe you guys see it differently than I do, because that's at least what I see from that perspective here. What do you guys think?
I'm not seeing SPG particularly help anybody. I think on the onboarding it was mentioned
They
like a little bit.
they have a
but
marketing and advertising group that they were doing for a little bit, and then they're starting to bring it up again. I suppose, like they're starting to.
Yeah, they had been calling it the social media mastermind
There we go.
class, and I remember I took it, and it was actually super helpful, and they were really trying to help GMs figure out how to start pushing themselves and advertising themselves through the social media sites outside of Start Playing. And I mean, I got the sense from Devin, who, I mean, from all I've seen, just a sweet dude. And he was just like, go get amazing, get big. I think with the idea that probably that you'd stick with SPG, but otherwise that he just seems to genuinely want the success for other people, thinking that it would come back to him. So I get a real blue sky vibe from that, or blue sea guy vibe from him.
That's good. Yeah.
From that, at least in my experience with that particular thing. But I know I think more to what Paladin's point was talking about, the amount of fundamentals that you need before you're successful there are kind of huge. So I think the lift for them in terms of return on investment and time investment, I don't think they can quite make it, like they can't take every single person from where they're at and work them through a custom classroom to get them all the way up to an advertised powerhouse, plus also make them a, I don't know, SPG certified quality GM. Like that's just beyond the scope of what they can do right now. So
it would be nice if they could, but yeah, it would require. I mean, just think about the resources for that. You would need to have a learning environment. You would have to have a course. You would have to pay the people to run those courses. It probably would be very expensive, very tedious as well. Which there's nothing wrong with tedious. I just think it's not within their. I mean, they're having to raise prices for advertising in and of itself. I can only imagine if they do add that, how much more they have to raise prices or having a need for more business, right? So that's a hard one, I think, from a business perspective. But yeah, I think you're right. Like Devin, I think genuinely really does want things does want to see the success on the GM side for themselves. And it's kind of like I said at the beginning, it's not about the money. It's about connecting people together and seeing more games, which is what SPG was created on. So I think in that end, like, yeah, I think they're trying their best, but can only do so much. But in terms of where to go from there, like, what is it that people do need to understand in order to get to that point? It's, how can I put it? So a good business or a good product or service is one that pretty much advertises itself. It's being product market fit means that it is a product or a service that is so good that whenever you put it out there, you don't really need to advertise it much. And I say this with experience from, like, I stopped advertising for my West March back in September. And between September and December, I had got still so many people wanting to join. And that was without me doing anything to ask people to join. People were coming to me for that. And so there's a point to be made between, like, whenever you run something so well or so well known that people are just coming to you in droves. And I had to say no to like 75% of those people because they just didn't match what I was trying to do with the West March. So and then still then I had gained about 10 people from like having to say no to like 30, 40 people coming to me about it. And so that's the difference between having a good game and a great game. Like, and it takes a soul crushing amount of effort to run something that's great, then run something that's good. And to get to that point, it's kind of like you have a bucket full of holes, and the holes are all very small. Like, you got like 1,000 holes, and like every time that you fill a hole, the water rises up a little bit more. But you fill another hole, rises up a little bit more. And so you're fixing all of these tiny, tiny problems with your business to the point that the water can like get up to the top of the pail or the bucket. And it's trying to fix all those things. It's like, okay, well, I gotta fix the way that that how I do onboarding, well, how I do inclusion of like feedback, how I do the theme, how I exactly can give more by like being able to increase lifetime value by giving more praise here or a little bit more return there. And each person is slightly different in the GM space, that it's not like there's not a one size fits all in trying to get that. So like something that'll work for me won't necessarily work for like engineer, because we're entirely different people and what we could provide and what we do. And so but being able to capitalize and like narrow down on a niche, and then also being able to like really push down on your strengths while rounding out your weaknesses is what will help a lot in the long run. And you'll kind of find that in just working on those things, naturally you'll get more money, because what you're thinking about is how can I improve what I do for the other person, and in doing that you'll find that you naturally will generate more money. And so it's not about focusing on a certain amount of income. The goal should never be how can I make more money. It should be how can I make what I do better for the other person. And then you'll kind of find that naturally the money does kind of tend to follow. But it doesn't need to be the end goal of what it is that we're trying to do overall. I'm reading the chat here in the cozy workspace. But what is it that? What do you guys think?
I know I'm generally pretty vocal, but I saw that Matthew threw on there it's about increasing our value to others. And that's definitely the philosophy I have. I constantly think in terms of like how to deliver like the best experience to my players. And I kind of build my philosophy around that, and that if they have a great time, it will go out. And if they don't, and I tried my best, then, or if something goes on there, that's a learning way, because there's that niche part of it too, right? You need to find what exactly is right for you. So, right. So kind of teasing that out as you go, but the effort of it and the idea being that if I aim for delivering a great experience, bringing joy and delight to my players, then I will be successful, because I'll just get better and better at that. And that, will in and of itself, like the value of the product will carry through. And the effort will, not that I don't have to advertise, but like your advertising in those other aspects will be much more effective if I have confidence in that what I'm delivering is going to be consistent and good.
Right.
So,
right. And it's also like there's different ways that you can market and advertise. You can either you can buy advertising, right? You can go and buy ads on Google or Facebook. That's one way of doing it. You can do cold reach, where you're reaching to people that don't know what you do. Warm outreach are people that are like naturally predisposed to what you do, right? And then there's also content. You make content about what it is that you're doing, which is what SBG kind of focuses on, is that one. But there's actually 4 other ways you can advertise. You can have other people advertise for you with word of mouth. That's one way. And that tends to be the one that gives you the highest amount of return for lifetime value than any other type of advertising. Because there's a lot to be said from word of mouth, and people giving closure and security to someone else. Is like, oh yeah, this guy's the real thing. Like, you can totally go to him. And also there's a lot to be said with negative word of mouth, which will work against you much faster than anything else will. Where people are talking badly about you and will even discourage people coming to your game. And so that's the aspect that you want to avoid. It's a lot better to make a ton of problems whenever you're small, because it'll hurt less than whenever you're a lot bigger and then you there's a problem, and then that'll hurt a lot more, because you'll lose a lot more people, you lose a lot more money. And so those are the aspects that you want to kind of like learn early and learn really quickly. It's those lessons that you kind of want to avoid later down the line, which can be quite brutal. Such as like, how do you not go about gaining more new clients? How do you not like solve a problem, right? Like all those things that maybe we don't necessarily know right now, but would be good to know down the line as well. And so there's a leverage that you can take in every position that you have, and the best leverage that a person has whenever they're small is that they can do a lot more one-to-one. They can give a lot more one-to-one like quality. Like I can sit down and actually write out a note and give it to someone when I'm small. I can't do that when I'm bigger because it'll be hard for me to write down 1,000 handwritten notes to someone, right? Versus when it's just me and 15 people. Also, because people are so small, they have the leverage of being unseen, which means that no one will know that you fucked up except for those few people, which is a really, really good thing. Because if you whenever people try to market and advertise themselves before they're ready, before their product market fit, it means that they're exposing themselves or they're putting themselves in a position of risk where other people will see the poo poo and people will not like the poo poo, and then they will think nothing but poo poo about you, which is kind of like the best my way of kind of saying it in a very immature way. But it's not good to show our butts to the world until we're ready to show that we've kind of gotten past those beginning trials and errors of what it means to run a business. And it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with GMing in and of itself, but running a business and kind of like being the business ourselves, because we in and ourselves as a pro GMs, we are the business and brand of what we're doing. Goes beyond just running the game. It goes in how do you professionally solve problems? How do you present yourself? How do you put yourself out there? How do you interact with other people? What do other people say whenever they're talking about you? Like, what sort of problems are you fixing? Like, what do you say and put out there as a value? That all comes together to define something that's called branding. So that's like the image of yourself. So, like if I say Dungeoneering, right? Like Dungeoneering 80 over here, then I should get some sort of mental image of what I would expect from him, which would be like, okay, yeah, he's a professional GM. He does a lot of improv, which he does do a lot of improv. Then someone thinks, okay, well, what about Paladin? Like, I'm someone that runs a lot of West Marches, and I do run a lot of West Marches. And I'm also making my own software and platform. Very different, right? In the way that we're both providing value and fixing a problem in the world. And so that image or that brand, that identity is something that starts the moment that you start doing all of this, and every single small problem and every big problem and everything that you do and don't do can like follow you around for a really, really, really long time if you're not careful. And it's like all of those small mistakes, those small problems. It's better to do it whenever you're unknown than whenever you are known. And so I see people that want to grow, they want to get more than where they are right now, but they just barely started. And it's like everyone wants leads, everyone wants more clients, everyone wants more money. But how do you get there without ruining yourself is really the proper way to kind of think about it. Like there's a lot of things that people still have to learn. You can't really skip that. And if you put yourself in a position where you don't know what you're doing, case in point, I broke a world record back in 2022, where I played with 73 other people. We played for 440 hours straight, 19 days straight. And we did it switching off every 4 hours. And I had not even been in like doing this for 6 months whenever we did that. And the amount of attention that I got was not fair to the amount of like that I didn't know what I was doing. And so because of that, I was like, oopsies, I was like stepping on toes and not really doing what to do with all of that attention. And so what I did is that I put a lot of attention doing something big onto myself and then doing the wrong things in a space that I should not have been because I was not ready for it. And so I say, like, I think the worst thing that could have happened to me is that I got lucky breaking a world record because I didn't have the skills in order to manage all of that attention that I got to myself. But if I had waited, or if there had been like another year and a half, then I think I would have gotten a lot more of a better maybe reputation off of that first instance of me kind of doing that and been able to handle it better. So that's kind of like an example of like, oops, I did too much too early. This is the consequence that comes after, both and good and bad. And there's a lot to be said, but like it's okay to kind of sit down and learn. But we also need to eat. We also need to eat, and we also need to take care of ourselves. So there's a bit of a dilemma, right? And so if a person is trying to go into this space and they're wanting to grow and grow fast, they're gonna have to be willing to sacrifice. They're gonna have to be willing to put up with a lot of pain because the faster that you want to grow, the more painful it's gonna be because it doesn't come easy. And so, if you can delay over a longer period of time, the less painful it's gonna be. But if you're trying to push a bunch in a small period of time and think you're gonna be successful, you're gonna be in a lot of hurt because it's not easy. And I've had to do that before too. Like I've had to learn a lot and undo a lot about the way that I think about stuff. To the point that like it really does feel like you're getting that chisel and re-chiseling yourself, and it's not a very comfortable process to do. To like redefine yourself and do it by yourself. It's very hard. Feeding starving artists is a traditional pastime in the community. Sorry, that made me laugh. But anyway, I'll stop talking. I'll let you guys input whatever you guys think.
Look at everyone talk.
I should prepare myself for pain. That's what I'm hearing.
Always.
Always, right? Yeah, there's gonna be aspects that aren't gonna be easy. It's gonna be like, oh shit. It's like how many times are you gonna get slapped in the face until you learn the lesson? It's like how quickly you can learn. It's like, okay, if I show you a red sign and then I slap you, and then I show you the red sign and I slap you again, are you gonna let me slap you or are you gonna actually duck? Right? And that's the thing with like any sort of skill.
I think I might smash the red side, honestly.
That just leads to more rant videos being made, really. That's kind of my solution when people keep slapping me. It's like, well, I'm just going to put this video here now. We can stop with the death threats. Here you go. This is my answer.
Not the death threats. Oh, no.
It's the approach of slap my face enough until the point it gets hard enough so that it hurts your hand more than it hurts my face.
Yeah.
That's right. Power is spite.
I guess, yeah, like, I think that people change whenever who you are now is a lot more painful than who you need to be. Like, if it hurts a lot more to just be who you are right now than who you need to be, then of course I think people are going to be pushed to change. But I hopefully people don't. I think some people are stubborn enough that they need that, but I think that most people don't. I think that most people kind of learn the lesson. Nice. I like that. I'm gonna watch that video later. So you want to know how to end?
Yeah, absolutely. These are my two. Yeah, these are my two rant videos from, as I've been doing this and have to respond to people. The first one came after someone's like, I'm going to kill you and your whole family for paid GM. I'm like, wow. You're really passionate about this. Here's how you can stop paid GMing. And the second one is, I'm getting like, I don't know about the rest of you, but I get like 3 to 15 messages for cold call art. And it always seems to be the same conversation. So I've just made a video to fast track that.
Nice.
Still getting screamed at by these people for the video, but
I think that I think it's good. If you don't have people hating you, then you're not doing something right. You got to stand up for something, right?
No matter what you do.
Yep.
Yeah, if you believe in something, someone's going to hate you. But if you believe in something, you're also going to attract more clients.
Yeah, because then more people kind of I like what this guy has to say. And then you have the other people screaming at you. Now, what they don't know is that the more that they scream and hate you, the more they actually are advertising for you. The more that they get other people to look at your stuff, because they're giving you time and attention online for other people to see you. Yep. So having haters is one of the best things you can have.
It destroys an effect at full force.
Yep.
You gotta love the Facebook people when you tell them that and they lose their goddamn mind.
It's like I have a couple of haters myself, and I'm like, yes, hate me, that's fine. Go out there and get me more clients.
What they don't realize is some of us are fueled by spite, and that's motivation. That doesn't stop it from happening.
Yeah, there's some people that are like, I think that we use whatever we got. Some of that is going to be pain. Some of that's going to be spite. Like, that person that told you can't do it, like, you kind of just use what you have, right? Whether it's the unfair advantages you had because of the position you're in, or just the emotion of, like, you just need something to push you forward. And sometimes it as dark as it is to say, like, sometimes it is that, like, yeah, my father said I'll never be successful. I'm going to use that to make myself do work today. I mean, it's a very true thing. Like,
if it works.
Yeah. Like whatever you got to do to get out of bed and do what you got to do, I suppose. And I think like at some point, to me, I think I had that switch where I have not needed to depend on that for a long time, and now it's for me, it's more so like I'm doing this because there's people that are gonna benefit from the work that I do, and that's kind of what pushes me out of the day, as opposed to like my father told me no, which used to be something I had to depend on a long time ago. But I think whatever it is that you got to do to kind of get yourself out there, to really get yourself out of bed and do the boring stuff, because at some point business starts to become very tedious and boring. It's very repetitive. It ends up becoming the same thing over and over and over and over. Once you know the game, it's like nothing, and so there's nothing challenging about it. It's just you just do the do. But because it's so monotonous, it becomes hard to keep up with over a long period of time. So success is then being able to do one thing and do it many times for a long period of time, and that can be hard. That can be very hard for some people. Right? I think you kind of know what I mean from experience. Like it's just the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And
Anything you do enough feels like the same thing.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yep, that's true. Even running games, it's like okay, after like the 10,000th game, it kind of starts to get a little old, a little bit, just a tiny bit.
What? The human brain adapts. That's not right.
No, I am gonna miss running games. I don't think I've ever gotten tired of it. I think I'm just gonna miss running games entirely. It's gonna be so weird for me when it does happen.
Yeah, you can always pick it up, especially if you're running for free. Just post a post, and you suddenly have a group of hopefully wonderful people willing to play. So
Yeah, I think one day I'll get to the point where I have achieved making the whole system. I have people doing things for me that I have so much time that I'm like, now what do I do? Well, I guess I play D&D. At some point. I'm not sure
Some
when.
point.
Like down the line.
I know. I think at this point you have enough time to strategize how to just be a professional player. So you don't have to do all the prep. You can just walk and be like, "Hey guys, somebody show me a good time."
Right. I'm gonna be that secret shopper that they from corporate.
I shall judge you and your GMing and provide you tips now. You don't have the right to say no.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a great idea, because I always remembered as a kid, I thought video game tester seemed like the best job you could ever have in the world. I'm like, you want me to play video games that's my job? And I'm like, now I'm looking and I'm like, you know what? If I want to be a D&D secret shopper, I want to play D&D with you for a job? Man. So I guess I'm now in my 40-year-old something is like, oh man, that's great. So, yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So I guess does anyone else have anything else to add to all? I mean, this is all really good stuff. I mean, it's all really good conversation and feedback. No.
Oh
Okay,
my
no?
God.
I mean, I'll
So
talk about anything with regards to pro GMing as well. Just someone pick a topic.
oh, okay. I guess that before I even define it, what do you guys think the value? What is the value in pro GMing in and of itself? I guess to know that you gotta define value, but I guess either or. Like, what is value, and how do you define what the value is and what we do?
From what I've seen and heard, because I'm newer in the space, I suppose my view might be the most strong one, but who knows? Convenience,
Convenience.
first and foremost.
Yeah.
Because you can find a lot of great GMs for free. You can find great GMs paid, but you can also find less good GMs in both sides. It's not just because you're paying for something doesn't mean it's good. So what paid GMing is mostly providing is a sense of security, is what I want to say. It's a bit more in terms of commitment because it's paid, so there is less worry that suddenly a game will tear itself apart because of no particular reason. You are supposedly, that is, you have a GM whose job, that it is their essentially duty in a sense, because you're paying them, to actually hold the community together. They're not supposed to be the sort of how should I say? I said it like yesterday, but it was like 1 a.m. in the morning. So right now my brain is trying to catch up with what my own words were.
Event coordinator?
Yeah, they're supposed to be the coordinators. They're supposed to be providing fun and entertainment and being less selfish. Because in free games, a GM can just like, you don't like my game, that's fine, leave. While
you could do
when
that
it's
as a paid
paid,
side
they
too.
have some incentive to be like, okay, what do you not like? Let's see what we can change. They're incentivized to provide more effort for your convenience, so you don't have to go out and find another table. That's what I think is the point.
Yeah, completely valid. That's what you see from your end. And yeah, okay. So those are some good points. Does what does everyone else think? What do you guys think the value is in paid DMing?
Well,
Uh,
as long as people. Oh, go ahead.
What, Tom?
oh no, you go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
No, I can be quiet. You go ahead. I talk too much as it is.
I felt
Okay,
that.
okay.
uh,
I think that the value in professional DMing is that you have a serious and professional experience where you can have the joy and you can have the service, putting a tag on the experience, and you can secure that you have experience that is professional and has a cohesion and doesn't have the insecurity on somebody saying, well, I don't want to play anymore, or well, I don't want to DM anymore, or well, this campaign sucks, I want to end this right now. You have the compromise of following around, and I think that is the most important value.
yeah, it's true. Okay, that's very good, very good. Matthew, what do you have to add?
Oh, it's way beyond my brain right now. I was going to say mostly it's reliability and that the game's going to happen,
Yes.
as well as someone who can manage different personalities and adjust the game to the troop rather than this is how the game is played, this is the only way we play mindset that some people have. And that said, I also feel that like PG, I mean, you have to be decent at running a game in at least one style. Like you have to have something. I've played with a lot of people who, dear God, it was awful, but I wasn't paying for it. So, yeah, like,
yeah.
I also played with a lot of paid GMs and had a varying experience on what I think the quality versus the adaptability is. And I feel you have to hit a certain minimal level of both to keep people.
Yes.
So I was going to say, paid GMing has completely killed my imposter syndrome. I used to wonder if people actually enjoyed my games, but now I know because they just leave. And that doesn't happen too often. So, it's been wonderful. Weird way to look at it.
I think it's a very valid way. I think that the people that would benefit most or love your games most would stay versus the people that don't. I mean, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. All right, Dungeoneer, do you have anything more to add to this long list that we have going on?
Well, I was kind of thinking because we kind of blend back the value to whom, right? Because I think is it Matthew? Do you go by Matthew? Is that? I see pause.
You can call me pretty much anything as long as I respond.
Oh, all right. So
there
I'll go
was
with
2
Matthew.
years of high school. People thought my name was Mike.
Nice.
Well, I'm always into however you like it. So if Matthew's fine, I'll use that. But like he was mentioning, it kind of like the way coming back, like the imposter syndrome. I mean, obviously the value is, of course, money, but like getting paid and then the satisfaction of like running a good game, like as I started to kind of like get strangers come in and like leave my games with like giving me nice reviews and stuff, like all that stuff just felt really good. The value is just, I'm creating joy in the world. So that kind of is the value kind of for me. So that was pretty sweet. But then all of it kind of depends. The thing I always focus on, wow, I just had a revelation just as I'm standing here. So I'll keep the train on the tracks here. The delivery, because I spent all my time thinking about how do I make the experience great for the people I'm playing with. And then I'm like, okay, well, there's different types of people. And all of that kind of explodes into this whole world. The thought I just had right now is like focusing on my own joy too, matters, because part of the thing I deliver is this connection with people, which I guess is a two-way value, where my joy and my love for dorkiness just kind of connects to theirs. Like one of my players came in and he had put on fairy wings. So, I'll show you this here. You haven't seen my seat. So first time he and his crew came, and I was like, I don't know why my camera's pointed so low, but this is my seat, and I have these wings on here for my seat, right? So they saw that, and they were like, oh man, that's cool, haha. Well, the next game, one of the players is playing a fairy, and he had got fairy wings and mounted them on, and he was like there, and he was the only one cosplaying, but I was just like, yeah, baby, bring it. Like now we've got the juice, inspiration for that, and so that part of that value is just, I mean, I don't know. It feels profound to me. I don't know if it's worth anything more than just two people just connecting and being dorky and loving it across the world. But I don't know. I think the world might be a better place if that's what happened more often than not. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
In my opinion, that's not like a paging. That's just a core thing to GMing itself and overall to just like entertainment.
Making a connection.
Though, especially for GMing, since in the case of GMing, you provide this connection to far fewer people in a more closed environment, so you can be a lot more direct and, in quotations, intimate.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Okay, so here's what I have. Now, this isn't. I don't take ownership over this. I'm taking this from. If you've not read it before, I would recommend it. $1 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. It is a book that talks about how to make an offer so good that people feel stupid saying no. It's like, how do you present what you do in a way to someone that the people that it's made for would feel like, why would I not join? This is the game exactly for me. And so this is the equation that he kind of has in there. Its value is equivalent to the dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement divided by how long it takes, so the time delay and effort and sacrifice the other person has to make in order to interact with this thing. And so if you kind of like think about like the things that we talked about, there is convenience was the first thing I heard Ender say, like time delay, right? How long does it take for them to get into this game? How much effort and how much do they have to sacrifice in order to enter this game? That's of course going to be like monetary value kind of goes into that as well. Dream outcome and perceived likelihood of achievement, like how likely is that they're going to have the experience that they're going to want to experience, and what is it that they're trying to get joining your game exactly. And so if you kind of take this and approach this from the mindset of like a niche, okay, like I run a West March. There are very, very, very few, if hard, I think the 0.2% of West March like listings on SPG are actually me. To be quite honest, because I don't see anyone else posting West March stuff on there. So I think like if I'm the only choice, where else are they gonna go, right? And so there's a huge increase in they can't get the outcome of being in a niche like that if no other niche exists. And so there's a lot to be said. You can also think about like, okay, like there's a phrase that I can't remember what his name is, but it's another YouTuber that is I will probably, whenever I go to edit this video, I will have a link somewhere on here. But he also makes content for business, and he has the phrase called "the riches are in the niches." And so, like, the more detailed and the smaller you are in what you do in the market space, you get a profoundly higher increase amount of return in money, and you kind of like relate that. Okay, well, let's put this in the equation. It makes sense, right? Like you are the perceived likelihood of achieving that very niche thing is going to be a lot higher because it's the likelihood that they'll get it somewhere else is a lot lower. But if it's going to be like, okay, the perceived likelihood that I'm going to play an Strahd game when there's 500 people running Strahd, maybe not as high in value. But if it's like a Strahd game with your specific personality, plus it's Muppets and Strahd, probably not going to get that game anywhere else. So, which I have seen that game pop up at some point. Someone actually did run a Strahd game with Muppets. So what I mean is that being able to narrow in and zone in on what it is that you do best, and being able to give that not only a lot more of that specific type of experience, and also being able to market and show that to other people will actually get you a profoundly much higher increase in the right clientele that are going to want to play in your games. Because if all you're showing is just like, generalized things that every GM does, then you're not really showing you and what it is that you do. And so that's the part that I think that some people need to kind of like also kind of hone in on, like, what is it that I do different or special? Yeah, Muppets. Oh man, I can only imagine that game. It's supposed to be serious, but then there's Muppets. And I think that it takes a while and a lot of iterations and a lot of thinking to be like, what is it that I do best? And for me, I run a lot of games that are very there's a lot of light and dark, and so I run a lot of like psychological horror type games, but then they're very silly. I actually published an adventure module called Gob's Petulance, which is a story about goblins and lemons. And so it's about a lemon factory where these goblins are being taken over by a parasite. But then you kind of go through it and you kind of realize that the true monster in all of this is not the things that you see, but the things that you don't see. And it's a self-reflection of what it means to have friends around you that are really the parasites that are sucking from your life. And so it's like it's really silly. It's lemons. They're a lemon factory, and there's these goblins, and they're really dirty, and they want to not be, and they want to keep being dirty. But then it's a self-reflection on life and like value. So it's kind of like, that's me. I couldn't give that to someone else and expect that they could run me, because I'm the only me that there is in the world, right? So it's like being able to capitalize on that, and how do you give a lot more of that to someone and then show it to people. So I think that one of the best things that people can do is like, yes, take the pre-made modules and then change it entirely, turn it upside down. You have to turn left, turn right, whatever you got to do, even throw the kitchen sink out the window, as long as it's different, like have it be yourself. And I think running running pre-made modules is like a lost opportunity whenever it's just run from the book exactly how it is, because it's not really showing anything other than just something that Wizards made, right? And that's the other part whenever it comes to marketing and advertising. It's you got to be able to be yourself and have that, yourself be so unapologetically you. Yeah, modules. I love modules because it gives you a template and you just scramble it up however you need to, because it already has a story. You just kind of adjust it to what you would like. You despise modules, I see. So like it's a good time saver, but it does take a lot away, and that it takes a lot of the creativity aspect of putting something in place that maybe you would not have made yourself. So, but anyway, I'll pause there for a second. I'll let you guys like input. This whole thing probably didn't start at all how you guys probably thought. Marketing and advertising we're talking about, and here we are.
So modules are great for marketing. I personally don't use them. I think people can do way better, and it's a strong opinion, not based in fact at all. So that's just my opinion thrown out there. Go ahead.
I would probably never run modules, but I hope no potential players here, but I will gladly use their names as false advertisement, in a sense that I will run the themes and location of the module, but then make something else up.
If you never ran a
around
module,
that.
how would you know what a good like cohesive storyline is like if you've never seen or run one?
I've read modules, I just don't like the storylines inside of them. They're, by my tastes, they are drab and generic. It's
30 years of
because
experience?
my specific storytelling happens to be over the top absurd and filled with a lot of epic, quote unquote, stuff.
I
It's,
I have a
just-
lot
just
of
doesn't
modules
really-
myself. I actually don't run most of them. But what I do is, at least the my way approach to learning, because I'm very analytical, is that I look at it and I look at what the general like audience experiences with this, like if they generally like it or hate it, and then I look at and I read it page to page from beginning to end, and I analyze like why is this good, why is it bad, like what is there to learn from this. Maybe running the module. I don't think that running the module is necessary, but if it's like a professional like game or like a story that's making a ton of money, I think that there could be a lot to learn from at least understanding what's in it. Maybe not running it, but understanding what it is that people like and don't like, so that we can kind of compare that to your own games. I think I don't know. That's an opinion. Kind of like Matthew's, like, because it's a very it's not based in logic or fact. That's just the way that I learned it.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I'll
lot of
probably
mine
I'll
come
probably
from-
land on the whole other side of this argument in that I don't know, a good cohesive story is handy to just have that like framework, because I find I end up doing a lot of making stuff up on the fly, and so the module it's kind of nice for me while I'm improvising to have that sort of anchor point in the back of my head, and so having that, the big surprise, the big reveal that pays off after a year and a half, like, I mean, I guess you can orchestrate that on the fly as you go through, but kind of having an interesting setup. I don't know. I enjoy having that base structure to run modules with. It also depends if you pick the right module. I picked Ghosts of Saltmarsh, or at least I had a group that picked Ghosts of Saltmarsh. I was like, I can lock in this. And it was just a loose connection of stuff. So I'm like, pretty much building it myself anyway, save for a few maps.
Right.
But I like it.
Yeah, and I think we talked about
mean,
the things
fair.
with Ghost of Saltmarsh. There was a lot of there's too many gaps. I've never read it myself. That's one of the books that I want to run and, well, not run, but buy and read through. But it seemed that there was quite a little bit in there, enough to cause a little bit of work on, I think, on your end, from what I remember, which is neither here nor there. I think it's just having the time to fill it in, right? So, but anyway, sorry, Matthew.
I mean, in general, there's only 7 stories in human like existence, and it's just a modification of these stories. So once you understand the building block principles, you can build your own stuff very quickly.
I've heard that. I have a best friend of mine. His name is Lion. He and I are co-writing Stalia, which is a West March world and module system. But he also presented me that there's only 16 or 30 stories, and it's just a variation of this or that. I forgot exactly what it was called, but yeah, it's like it's a variation on like a very few amount of things or ways that stories progress in the world, which is
Yeah, it's essentially the 7 storylines mixed with the 6 different perspectives gives you a whole combination of where you can put the PCs at to write something. And I'm just saying, like, I don't use modules, but like setting and world books are wonderful. Also, I don't run D&D, so the selection of modules have been kind of garbage for other games.
I can understand that.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. I also run Monster of the Week, and basically I have a group that just, there's some diehards and they love it. And I ran out of all of their material. Like, I ran the module. I was like, I'll make my own games while running the module. And at a certain point, like, I think it's been a year or so, and I'm like totally out of their modules. They're done, and now I'm writing definitely much more cohesive modules than some of the ones that they just kind of like threw out there as silly. But But yeah, I'm like, where do I find more of these? And I'm like, all right, now you have to sort of go really scraping to see if you can find what is what you know will be a quality Monster of the Week module.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess let me look at my little paper here. Where do I have to go from here? So I think value and how to provide and how to show that. It really starts with understanding, kind of like that equation I put up here. I would start with writing a big list of everything you could think of for every single one, including the part for effort and sacrifice for the other person. Because then what you will realize is that now what you have is that you have all of these reasons and every single one of these things that provide value for a game. You might actually realize that you have a lot more than what you think. And so you can even put it through ChatGPT if you want. If you're like, I really can't think of more. Well, I'm going to put it in ChatGPT and see what it thinks. If you want a little bit more help. Or you can ask us here at the archives and see what we come up with. But I think starting from there, it's like a good exercise of being able to understand what it is that you give and having it so well integrated into your head that you can drop really good advertisements for your game. And also it's a different way of thinking of yourself and what you do. Like for myself, looking at this and now having made several like really good offers, I would approach what I do in the way of like being able to play in a West March where that still allows you to be yourself and give you character growth, because that's something that doesn't exist in West Marches as well. Typically in West Marches, characters have a lot less importance in being able to grow. But because I know that that's a pain or a pain thing, like something that is very needed or wanted in this space, I can then use that as something that to put in my advertisements. Because then people be like, oh, that's different. I like that. I want that. I want more of that. But it kind of starts with like you knowing what it is that you do. And then the second part to it is, okay, well, what is it that the player side, what pains that they have? What do they want? What do they need? What is it that they really don't want and don't need from this space? And then what you end up is you have a list of what you give, and you have a list of pain points, and then you kind of overlap on both. And then that's how you then tend to have the things that you really need to put out. You could totally go out there. You could put a list of 100 reasons why your game is great. But if you just instead focus on the 5 things or 6 things that overlap with what it is that people really care about, you end up removing a lot of the noise that people don't have to read through to join your game, to like really attract them towards you. And that's how you start with marketing and advertising. You got to know what middle ground is. What can I provide and what do people want? What's the middle? What's the middle part? And that's whenever you start getting into the realm of like then understanding like what it is they do. And so like I'll just read like an example out of here in the book. So like let's say that you want to lose weight, right? You could do it yourself, or you can get liposuction. So what is one thing versus the other, right? Like one, it's a lot less time and a lot less effort, which is why the value for it is so much higher, because you have to put no effort at all into it. And so what is it that people want? And so there's a section that talks about like what do people want to feel good, people want to look good, people want status, people want to feel important, people want to feel valued, people want connections with others. Like those things that it is that people want at a core are the things to kind of look at. And then you kind of look at D&D and it's like, okay, well, what do people want in D&D? Well, people want connections with other people. People want to make friends, right? People want escapism. People want to be able to experience this other world, and maybe in a very specific way. Maybe they want to experience sci-fi as opposed to like high fantasy. Maybe they want to experience something that's not core D&D. Maybe they want to experience Pathfinder because things that are going on with Hasbro, which is completely valid. And so you kind of put all of these things together, and then you get a really good understanding about where it is that you stand with people. And then when you kind of get that whole vision together, you then have a lot better of a standpoint of knowing how to position yourself in a way that people would be much more likely to play with you. And it's all about framing. It's all about being able to frame what you do in a way that people understand, it being able to attract them. You could throw a million different things out there, but I think that the things that'll really bring people in are the things that have a huge overlap with the audience you're trying to hit, which is going to be very different if you're trying to run 3.5, which might be more catered towards people that are in their 40s and 50s, than if you're trying to run cozy D&D 5.5, which is maybe more towards millennials in their 20s, right? Like very different audience of what they would expect, one versus the other. So you have to know who it is that you're trying to attract as well, and you do have to pick. You can't just be like a general everyone, because if you're a GM for everyone, then you're a GM for no one. At that point, you're not really niching yourself down enough to understand who it is that you're providing value for. Because if you're just gonna bring anyone in, then they're just gonna go to wherever, whoever they want. But if you provide something specific, a specific experience, or maybe like a specific focus on what it is you're trying to do for these people, then they're much more likely to stay with you for a long, long period of time, because you understand and you know who that person is and what it is that they want, to such a level that you can continuously give to that person in different ways that other people can't. And that's called having an avatar. That's the person in business that you are trying to serve. And so for me, I have like an 18-page document about who that avatar is and who it is exactly that I am looking for to join my West March. And it's because of that I'm able to say, no, you can't join, to 75% of people that try to join my game, because it doesn't make sense. I wouldn't be able to provide the best experience possible to that person, because they would maybe sort of like it or just kind of like it enough. But I rather give my time to people that would love what I do, not like what I do. And that's when you kind of have a completely different mind change. I want to look for people that are the gold stars that I kind of serve best, because anybody that I say yes to, I say no to someone else. So why would I say yes to someone that's just gonna be like meh, rather than someone's gonna be like, oh dude, I love this so much, and this is like the best game I've ever had. I'd much rather have that than like a meh player. And that's why I say no to a lot of people, because then I have like this group of people that kind of love what I do for a long time. I mean, I think I've been with the same core 15 people for about 8 months now, which kind of says a lot. Like, like it's good to have those people that you kind of really serve best to, because then you're able to provide a lot more to them, not only just from like a GM perspective, but also like a personal perspective too. You can have a relationship. You can have a business relationship that exceeds really beyond just the consumer and like business side of things, which I believe enhances the experience to some degree. Maybe not. I think that's more philosophy than anything. But this is just kind of like going into like, how do you start marketing and advertising? It's all of this stuff that is not easily taught, because you got to understand yourself. You got to understand what you give, and then you have to frame that to the audience that you're trying to give. And that's why it's something that it kind of starts with the fundamentals of knowing who you are. And that's why if you kind of look at business videos online, they're all very generic, because you can't really give a very specific video, because you then have to like get into like the niche of like, well, who is Dungeoneering versus who is Paladin versus who's Matthew, and it would be a different video, right? Because it's very catered to that person specifically, and so you can only get so specific in business videos or like business training, to the point that you kind of have to talk about it to like this degree. We're like, this is as deep as we can go. And we could probably get into it a little deeper if we kind of talked about it one-to-one. But it's hard. It's a hard thing to really think about. Well, one-on-ones, yeah. One-on-ones would help. And I'll pause before I get to the last part. What do you guys think? Or do you guys want me to finish with the last part?
Well, I don't know where you're getting to the last part, but I had a kind of a question, because I know it is really, there's this weird balance between finding what you're good at and what you enjoy and locking that in, but then also expanding and moving. Like, I mean, I think this business, at least I feel about mine, is that I'm kind of an artist in the sense where, like right now, I'm D&D 5e. I'm trying to perfect the running that so that I can like walk into any room anywhere and just give somebody a great D&D experience. whoever they are. I mean, that's kind of the way I think about it, or at least if I can identify the people that would be like, you probably aren't going to love my game as much. And conversely, who's going to love it? But I have dreams to branch out into many different places. I have like, I pop my camera back on, but I have a whole library back there of games that I've read and love and have played for fun elsewhere and would like to branch out there as well. So what are your thoughts on that aspect of crafting that identity and identifying that niche?
This is coming from a place where I've done that, and it's going to be very painful to hear, but you can only do so many things and be great at it.
It's going to be really painful. Okay, good preface. Good preface.
One thing. You probably really have to choose one. And the thing is that, like, the more that I've gone into this, I mean, I did streaming, I've been publishing, I've been in the archives, I ran marathons, I did world records, I did so many things, and I love every single one of them. But I learned a little bit of a lot of them. And I think it's good to be able to experiment and learn a bit of everything. But I can only choose one. I only have time to do one and do it really, 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 really well. And so I chose to go the route of West Marches because I realized that, there's not a lot of people that have the way that I think, complexity wise, with like nuances of systems, and I love it. I love it so much. But I realized that there's a lot of value I can provide. But I can only focus on that, and I can't really sidestep anywhere else. And so anytime that you do sidestep to something different, you're changing the business that you do. Whether it's I'm running games to publishing, well, your audience has just changed entirely. There could be some overlap, but you're now dividing your time and attention between two different things. And so what happens is that whenever you kind of grow both, you'll get to a point where you have to make a decision, or both are just going to suffer immensely forever. And so it is possible to have a system in place where you have multiple things that you're doing. Like, you can't have the streaming aspect and also run games. I mean, that's very compatible, right? But there's people that don't like streaming at all, so you're going to have to lose those people. And then there's also people that you can sell the things that you make to, which is kind of what I do in my off time, in my extreme off time. Like, I publish stuff, but not as frequently as I would like to. But there's a lot to be said that you can only focus on so many things as one person. And so if you can only make one thing really, 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 really great, then anytime that you split yourself more, then you make that great value that value disappears. The quality disappears entirely because you're not focused. You're not able to just make one thing really, really exceptional. You're making two things okay. And there is a market to make two things okay, but you'll make a lot more benefit and value to people if you can focus on one thing and focus on it a lot. And this is the aspect that I was kind of getting to. It's like business is very tedious and boring whenever you kind of grow it to a scale where it's like, this is all I can do, just this. And you kind of realize, like, as you start to see how much work it takes, it's a soul crushing amount of work to make one thing extremely good. You realize how many things you cannot do because you can't do that with everything. You'll just burn yourself into the ground. It's just not possible to do everything. So you kind of have to choose not only what you want to do, but also what problems you want to deal with. Because it kind of comes hand in hand. Do I want to deal with the problems that come with running a publishing business versus do I want to deal with the problems that come with running a professional GM maybe company? Maybe I have professional GMs that I hired that are helping me with this, where you can run monsters, that you can run different modules, right? But it all comes at a cost that you can only choose one, and wherever you put your attention, you can't put the other stuff. Which is why, like here, I put 99% of my attention in Estalia, and I think someone was asking, well, why can't I not do this? And I'm like, because I only put 1% of my attention over here, and even this 1%, like I could just take it back and not help people and go focus on Estalia, but that's not what I want to do. I want to still be able to help people here, even if it's once every other week. But I could totally just take my time back and just focus on Estalia and make that better. But I feel like I wouldn't be living up to like what I can provide, because I think that there's a lot that people can learn. And then once I kind of see other people start to like get their skills a little bit higher, because there's a deficit, an extreme deficit, I believe, in the professional space where they don't get this chance to talk and learn these things. Because I didn't have that. And I think that it would be very sad if I didn't have this, so that someone else can then learn, and then they can maybe take what I learn, and then teach someone else. Because it's like There's this story that I heard where Augustus, no, I think it's Cornelius. There was this philosopher that the only difference that existed between him being able to invent Stoicism and not, and write about his life, is that he was given one book to read by another philosopher. And it's like because of that one little interaction to kind of help someone else, it created a whole branch of being able to have a whole mindset made and affect the way that people live. And it happens in everything that we do now. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, Australia may not be as great, but because I'm able to help people here, I can then possibly have so many other things happen and exist because I helped someone with something that maybe they didn't have access to before. So anyway, I'm kind of trailing off now, but I think the point of it is that if you are gonna split your time and split your attention, it would have to be something that you feel is worth it to the point that it goes beyond yourself, I think, because you're only able to give so much to so many people, and I think that me being able to give to y'all is worth the sacrifice over that I'm having with Australia, with having them not getting the time and attention, because I feel like you guys can affect so many other people, which for me, the whole point of why I'm doing this is because I want people to connect with each other. And I think that through professional DMing, people can then meet up and have those genuine connections that they otherwise would not have. So it kind of still helps with the goal of what I want to see in the world. It might not be West Marches, but through y'all, I'm kind of still helping see that change in the world. So hopefully that kind of answers the question to a very real degree. I kind of sidetracked there for a second.
It's actually a beautiful answer, man. It's beautiful.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Yep, exactly. Oh, by the way, I got an email from Sarah from Start Playing Games. So the whole reason this all started whenever they started doing learning and teaching at SPG, and I was teaching people how to run West Marches professionally. And so because I was starting to do those things, and because I've been so active, they're now going to add a West Marches tab to SPG.
Excellent. That should have been a long time coming.
Which is like, it kind of like blew my mind. But not only that, they actually came to me for advice on what to write on it. And I'm like, I get to be the one to decide what goes on it. So it was a very profound experience because it's like none of that would have happened if I just didn't become a stick in the mud. So it's worth being able to like put your values out there and then stick down. And yeah, people might hate you for it a little bit, but the good that comes from it might be a lot more worth it. So to answer your point, Dungeoneer, where do you put your time and attention? I think whatever you want to see more in the world, and whatever you think you feel is the best way to do it. That's a hard answer to give because I really don't know what that would be for you. That would take a lot of thinking.
It's a little soul searching answer, but I think the part of it is in terms of the piece of it that I took away is because I like to do a thing well and really know it well. So I think rather than being like, let me try, I wanted to do a mothership and I wanted to do a Vaesen and I wanted to do a microscope and like let me try one of each. Kind of maybe focusing on the next thing that I want to do, saying, okay, here's the niche, the expertise that I'm going to fill, and kind of delve into that thing and be like, this is, I'm going to do, I don't know, Blades in the Dark and just become a Blades in the Dark master, and just one thing at a time so that I can kind of hone in on that. So, oh yeah, the microscope demo. Yeah, I think I have a bunch of, well, they're probably still a few months away, but once I have a couple of systems that are rolling in, and when I do, I'll be like, okay, what kind of world do you want to live in? And then there's a few of those buildups, but yeah, I think focusing one at a time and focusing that effort and time on one thing that's the most important that I think can give the most joy and value to the world. That's kind of what I took away from that.
Yeah, I think that's a very good takeaway. Right, well, does anyone else have anything to add or questions or comments?
I mean, the stream seems to be going great. There's lots of good information for new people for the archives. And yeah, I just don't want to take over talking above everyone else. So
Okay. All right, Tom and Ender, and also I saw there was someone new that popped in. I can't see your name entirely because I'm in streamer mode, but all I see is A. The letter
Hello,
A.
Alpho.
Alpho. Okay. Hi. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Alpho. You're also welcome to jump in and add as well. Sorry I did not recognize you earlier.
No, that's fine. Mostly hearing.
Okay. Okay. Then, if no one else has anything to add, then it'll be the last part. So, I don't want to make this video too long because it's possible to have this. I could talk about this for hours. I could probably talk about this for up to 6 hours, possibly. And also, I used to be in neuroscience, and I used to like talk in like university, so I can talk for a long time. And I'm also from the South, so I could talk. I could talk someone's ear off forever. That's not the point of all this. Of course, I want to be able to give things in segments, right? In small segments. And so the final point of all this is before going out there and making any videos and making any sort of like text advertisements is, I think, really to sit down, write out the list of problems, and write out the list of solutions that you have, like the things that you add for value from your games, and being able to cross-reference that towards each other and circle the things that maybe make the biggest impact. But not only that, there's one more list that has to be made, and maybe even before circling all of that, and that's called the avatar. And so I think there's a bunch of videos out there that probably can explain it in a lot better depth than what I can here. But what an avatar is that it is, if you had to think about the perfect person that matches every single value of what it is that your games provide and your services, well, who is that person? What is their life? Are they male, female? Are they married? Are they not married? What kind of things do they like? What do they not like? What do they eat for breakfast? You get to that kind of detail if you want. What kind of opinions do they have? Where do they hang out online? If they don't, where do they hang out in real life? How much time do they have? Like, what is their income? You can get into a lot of detail whenever kind of going into the avatar. But being able to understand who it is that you're serving, and not what you do, but who it is that you're serving, I think is the number one most important thing to really approach business with. It's not what value do I bring, it's who do I bring value to. And that's kind of where we start everything. All of this talk that we had all the way just to kind of get to the point of like this is not a point of just being able to give a product or service. It's who do I give a product and service to, and then giving that product and service to that person in the best way that you can to fit them. So it's not a what, it's a who. Who do I serve? Who do I give stuff to? And in order to understand that, all these things that I talked about have to be talked about because they're the fundamentals to get to this point. It's who is it? Who is it that I'm trying to give all of this for? And being able to understand that person so well that you can jump backwards and upside down and be swimming in the ocean and still be able to give a good value to them because you just know them. And if you're not sure, or if you kind of have an idea of who they are, but you don't know enough about them, I would look for those people. Quite honestly, the number one way to learn about those people is to talk to them, which is hard, I know, for some people, to be able to surround yourself with those people and just understand who they are. And I think even for myself, having done this for like gaming for 13 years and not professionally for 3, I didn't entirely know who those people were until maybe like about a year ago, I would say. And then once I kind of like narrowed in, like, oh, these are the people that I see consistently tend to enjoy my games all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just look for that. And then I started talking with them. I started to hang out with them, and I started to like ask questions about their lives, and then I'm like, I got it. I see that now. I get it. That's how I can give something to someone and not have it be so wholesomely just given for them in any way, every way that I can. That's how I'm able to have people around for months and months and months with LTV. And so I think that I've seen somewhere that like the success of a business is not how much you make, it's how long you can keep a customer with you for like the length of time from beginning to end. the LTV, the lifetime value. And so if I can only keep a customer for 2 months versus 2 weeks versus 1 day on average versus 2 years, you then have a different picture of what it is that that business is doing in order to kind of keep someone around and why they haven't left. And so that's the point you kind of want to try to get to. It's that how do you keep someone around for as long as possible, because what you have fits everything that they're looking for. And that's how you start with marketing and advertising. Even before even looking for people, before putting yourself out there, you got to understand what do you do and who you're serving. Those are the things that you have to figure out. You can't do it without it. You can totally just take a guess. You can just practice putting videos on TikTok. But what's the point if it's not going to be towards the people that you're looking for? And that's it. That's the end. So that's all I got for today, at least. But yeah, what do you guys think overall?
I think there's a lot of good information here people can use and should at least give a listen to.
Was it profoundly different than maybe what you guys were expecting? More along the lines of what you were expecting?
Yeah, for me it was very useful because it served to make very reflection for me for my career, and I wrote a lot on my notebook. For that, I'm very thankful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Engineer Ender.
I have a bit of a problem turning the information here into cohesive actions.
Sure.
But it is useful to know what to do to kind of, I suppose, ground myself into my own little path.
This isn't me trying to pick at you, but I think if I remember, you have a couple of years of experience overall, right? Like 2 or 3, I believe. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think I did say something before where like I recommend having 10,000 hours, which takes like 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, you did.
And this isn't picking at you specifically. This is this broad generalization overall. The reason I said that is because it takes about that long for you to be an expert on your craft and what you do. So I can understand if like there's a little bit of like, I don't know how would I start with this. I think it could be that you might need a little more time to like understand the craft of D&D and like telling a story in yourself, or maybe not. Maybe it could be that the information was also presented weirdly. But if I was to give actions on what to do, I would look at this and understand what kind of games do you run, who are you in these games, like what is it that you provide. I would look at that equation that I have up here in the chat, and I would start to make out a detailed list for all 4 of those points. What is the dream outcome of the people that the people are wanting from your games? What is the perceived likelihood of achievement that they'll get that from your games because of who you are and what you do? What is the time delay? And what are the effort and sacrifices that people have to provide in order to be a part of your game? From there, you also have to understand what are the problems that people have in general from the target audience that you're looking for. So I would make an avatar. And then from your avatar, you can then have the problems made for that specific avatar. And from there, you overlap both lists, and then that's the value. That's the extreme value that you can provide to the audience you're looking for. So that's a little bit of a. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. It's enough to do over a 2-week period because I know we meet every other week. But for those that are here, if you want to do this together, I mean, even I'll do it as well along with you guys. What we have is the pre-pro master group. So we meet. I mean, I do this video chat like every other week. But with the pre-pro master group, it's like a smaller group of people that are actively learning and actively doing these things. So that way you can have a little bit of accountability and practice to do it together. Also a place to go to and chat just in case you get stuck. So like a week from now, I'd be like, okay, so you have to do all these things. How are you coming along on your progress of finishing these tasks? And if And if you run into problems, then we talk about it then as a group. But if you're not making any progress, then I will say that I have kicked people out of the group for not doing anything, because it's not worth my time to teach people that are not gonna make the work towards becoming better. I'd rather keep the space and the time towards people that do want to grow in that sense and actually will put in the work. So if that's something that works for you and you want to do this together as a group, then let me know and I'll add you to the group, and then we could basically do all this over the course of 2 weeks. Because I don't think it would take 2 weeks to put all this together. I think maybe a day if you kind of sat down on a Saturday, kind of really thought about it.
Yeah,
figured it out.
I could definitely attempt. I don't know if what I'll create is like what actually I'm supposed to do,
Okay.
but
Need
so
somewhere
long
to
as I'll
start.
have like a reflection, a feedback loop, I can definitely do it pretty quickly.
As long as you have somewhere to start, then that's honestly it. Because you might end up being correct on some parts, and then like even now, like my avatar is constantly changing depending on what I learn more about people, adding to it, subtracting some things from it. It's not something you do once and just leave it alone. It's something that you constantly update over a long period of time. So you just need somewhere to start, really. But yeah, I could definitely add you to the group. But sorry, I think I'm getting a little off track as well. To everyone else as well, I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on everything? And also, if you want to be part of the group.
Is this the GM Growth Group event at the top of the Discord?
The professional group meetup, that one? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
typically today. It's
Excellent.
not, I don't think it's gonna be on Tuesdays anymore, because like I said, it really depends on the people joining. So it's gonna be whoever joins, that group is my priority. Regardless of whoever joins the server that wants to attend, I don't care. My time and attention is towards the people that want to join that group. So it doesn't mean we're probably going to meet on Tuesday next time. It could be another day. I don't know. But I needed to know, like, consensus-wise, like, who does want to join that group, and then going from there. Which is probably, like, I could probably make a more efficient way of running it. But with me only having so much time and energy, I kind of, it's hard. When all I have is this other
Absolutely.
week, once every other week to kind of run everything and also organize it. So, kind of like I was saying earlier, Astale is taking a lot of my attention for, for what I'm doing over there. And I try to do my best over here. And a lot of what will happen and be organized is going to be limited to my time and then also what other people want to put into it. So if other people don't want to help with organizing, then I can't really do much myself. I only have so much I can do. So
Totally fair.
yeah, I'm just being very real with it. I was like, I'm not gonna promise more than what I can do, but I can only do so much. I'll try to do my best, but can't do it all. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, so other input and people that want to join potentially.
I'm already in there, so I'm gonna keep on after it, man. It's good stuff, and I appreciate it. So thanks in advance, and yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Matthew wants to join. Ender wants to join. Great. Any other feedback?
I'd also be interested to join. Round myself out.
Yep.
Or build myself up. I don't know which one.
Yep.
I'll figure it out.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Any more feedback for me regarding like I guess the talk? I didn't sit down and like write this all out. I kind of figured like I know enough about this stuff. I could just talk about it on the fly. So hopefully it was cohesive enough. If not, then let me know. You tend to ramble sometimes.
A lot of good general advice in there.
I think something that would be useful is like writing a short list and posting it in text form without elaborations, just like something 2 pages long or so with the main points, like finding your niche, the format for success, like don't think in terms of profit all the time, think about human, like all of the major points. It would be helpful, whether it's a reference to yours or reference to anybody else.
I agree. I think that would be helpful. In terms of like timeline of where my time is and where what, because I am gonna come back and build the archives more than what it is now. To get to that point, I think I put a timeline history up at the top, just so you know, like when can I elaborate a lot more of this stuff. So in order for me to finish with the archive with the Astalia, it's in multiple phases. So right now I'm in the long building phase until the end of June, where I'm building where I'm building them to be able to onboard players, which we got past the alpha, thankfully. And right now I'm in the building phase of getting to the point of adding GMs to the system, and then scaling. And so scaling is phase 3, and that'll take me till the end of August. So the hope is that by the end of September, from September to the end of the year, I can come back here and then scale the archives in all of those ways. Because in order for me to do that, I gotta hand off Astalia with not only GMs, training the GMs, having leadership, training the leadership to take over stuff that I do over there, so I get my time back. And once I have more of my time back, I can come over here and do more. And so that's the aspect of like that I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to build one as much as I can to the point that it's self-sustainable without me around, and then switch over, and then build the archives to the same degree where it's self-sustainable, where I don't have to put as much effort here either. And I think September is like it's a hit or miss. Either I'm gonna be extremely underestimating the amount of time it's gonna take, or overestimating. So it's I'm either gonna get all the stuff in Astalia then really fast, or really slow. And so September's kind of like a time frame that I think it's gonna be, but it could very well be next year for all I know. But yeah, no, I agree. Like the good thing is that I have all this stuff on video, so I could just be like, hey, this is all I have for now. All I have for now is like, look at this. But at some point, yeah, I think it would help to have all of this in written form. I think that you're right in that aspect. I wish that I could kind of do that. Maybe I can actually. So I'm very good at Notion. They added a new feature where it'll listen to what you're talking about, and then filter it all down into like actionable steps and give summaries of stuff. So maybe I could have it set up for next time, so that way it kind of does that already for me without me doing extra work. Perhaps it could help. So I'll look into that. Maybe I can even run my video through it and be like, make a summary and do all this. If you get that dialed in, yeah, I think it's gonna be necessary to some degree for what I do, anyways. Because if the players are in the West March and they're playing the game, I think it'd be a lot better if the system is making the notes for them rather than them having to make the notes themselves. Because then it's like hands-free; they don't do anything. Like the lore master and everything's updated for them on hand, which would be awesome. But I don't know how good it is yet. I'll have to look at it. I'm not sure how effective it would be.
I'm kind of crazy. I've been looking around for things too, because since we chatted last about that, having something just digest all the notes, and then you could just go read the summary and grab the things. Even then, like that just gives so much more robust stuff to grab and so much faster. Oh, good God.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Even if you have to do a fair bit of correcting, it's kind of nice because you're just like, oh, well, that's not quite right, and then you're done, as opposed to, what the hell just happened? I've been 19 different people in the last 1 hour. So what do I do?
Yeah, I call it the grand recaps, being able to take all the session notes from the last month, all the groups, and then it just like digests it down. It's like, here are all the main things that matter from the last month. And the players are like, oh, okay, I see. They don't have to keep up to date with everything all the time. There's a lot less confusion. Anyway, this is kind of like me starting to talk about Notion stuff, but I will go ahead and end the recording here. I actually, you know what? I haven't streamed in quite a while that I forgot. If people are watching on Twitch and YouTube, I'm glad that you guys are here. Thank you guys so much for coming. I think there's an invite to the server somewhere on my profile around here. And you guys can join the archives. If this is something that benefits you as a professional, great. You guys are welcome to come join on these talks. They're every other Tuesday, but it's going to change. So, but feel free to join if this is something that you find very useful for yourself. If you need a place to go, that you want to network with other people and or grow your skills, then we're the spot. I don't think that there's anyone else doing something similar as far as I know. And if there is, then it'd be nice to know, because then I could collaborate with them to make this a lot more possible. So you guys have a great and wonderful day, and we'll see you